Yes. So what I was saying is funding agencies. Everybody keep on asking. People will ask, is there any funding options available for doing legal research in India? I would say compared to other subjects, for doing legal research, very, very minimal funding options are available. Okay, very minimal funding options. In that, I can tell you the most important funding is available from UGC. Those who have not done PhD, you can get JRF. JRF is one of the funding agency or funding option available for doing research. But for that, getting JRF, you have to clear the net with a required percentage mark. Then you will get JRF. GC will grant financial assistance for 3 years as JRF. Then again 2 years for SRF, Senior Research Fellowship they will give. So that funding options are available. Along with that, you will get a PhD also. Now, those who have already done PhD and those who are into teaching field, they can think about UGC minor and major research fellowships. UGC provides minor and major research fellowships. But for the last few years, they were not properly doing that, but still it is available. You can try for that. Then one of the most important and very, very relevant research funding option is ICSSR Impress project. This they have started in the year 2018, and it is being regularly giving. And I was one of the person, or I am fortunate enough to get a research project under this Impress scheme. And I was the only, or I am the only person who did legal research using Impress from Kerala. I think nobody else have done till now. So I was the only person who successfully complete that Impress research using that Impress research grant. So all of you can try that. Just go through the website of ICSSR Impress. You will get the details. Now, other than that Impress project, ICSSR provides research project grants. That's a different thing. That is also provided in the ICSSR website. So you would try for it. Other than that, there are several institutions. They provide research grants. Like Cochin University, we have a system like a seed money research project that Cochin University used to grant research funds for doing research to its own teachers. So I am one of the person who has done this seed money research. Other than that, in Cochin University itself, we have an IUCIPR center that provides short-term research project. Then the ICERP is there, another center that also provides short-term research project. Even for students also can do the research using the fund. So likewise, there are several institutions in India. They used to provide research grants. You have to identify different institutions and what are the facilities or what are the grants they are providing. Then another agency is National Women's Commission. They also provide research grant. And I am fortunate enough to participate in one of the funded research project of National Women's Commission. So you can go through their website, you will get research grant. Other than that, several of our central and state ministries, like the Ministry of Forest and Environment, then the Ministry of Child Welfare, etc., they used to provide funding for doing legal research. So these all, but they won't call openly like there is a call for research funding or a research proposal or anything like that. You can submit a research proposal, and if they are interested in that, they will grant support. So like that. So you can see approach different ministries in that. These are the limited funding options or opportunities available for doing legal research in India. Other than this, at international level, you have number of research funding agencies. The most important among them is Max Planck Institute. Max Planck. You can go through their website. You will get so many options, so many codes, etc. Then other than that, there are so many other institutions at the international level providing institutional support or funding for research. You can go through this one website that which I mentioned, funds for NGOs.org. That website will give you a detailed list of several institutions. And it's not possible to list out what are the institutions which provides funding for legal research. There are large number. You just Google it, you will get all the details. Now, once you have identified the funding agency, the next point is you have to identify a topic for doing research. Now, this is one of the questions which I am listening from several people. Why? Because whenever they want to write an article, they want to write a dissertation or thesis, they will simply ask, can you suggest a topic for doing research? I wanted to submit a research proposal, so I wanted a topic. Can you suggest a topic? Now, I would tell you, never take topic from others. Never take topic from others. The reason is, if you're asking me a topic, if you are having some connection with me, I will definitely tell you some of the very relevant topics. Now, the problem is, when I am suggesting a topic, in my mind, I have identified or I have a conviction that this topic can be done in such a way, this topic having that relevance, this relevance, etc. So with that understanding or idea in mind, I am suggesting this topic to you. What you will do, you will simply take this topic and you will try to do by your own means. Now, when you do that, you may end up in a disaster. That means because you have not properly understood in which context I have identified that topic and which context I felt it is relevant and which way I thought that topic can be done. That is the problem when you are taking suggestions from others. But still, you can take suggestions from others, but you have to ensure that the topic is relevant and you can do it successfully. Now, when you're identifying topic, I will tell you some trick to find out contemporary or very relevant. One of the best option is reading journal articles. You take recent volumes of good journals and go through the titles of the article. You will get an idea which are the articles or which are the topics or issues dealt in that articles. That issues may be a relevant issue. That is why that journal published that article. So reading number of articles from different journals will give you an idea about what can be a legal issue and what is a relevant legal issue, etc., 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 etc. So reading journal articles, that is one of the easiest to do. Second method is conflicting judgments. There are several conflicting judgments. We will hear the news from website or media, etc. So when conflicting judgments will come, there is always a scope of research. That is because judiciary itself is confused about the answer. That shows there is a need for doing research. So conflicting judgments, whenever for any issue, conflicting judgments are there. That will definitely opens a room for doing a research. Now, even otherwise, there are certain cases where judiciary will make an observation. Why can't the legislature think about a law? Why can't it be amended? Or there is a need for an urgent law. Like that, judiciary will observe as a obiter dictum. Now, that judicial observations, you can convert it as your research problem or research question, and thereby you can identify a topic. I will tell you from my experience. When I was doing my PhD or when I wanted to do a PhD, I have identified a topic and I went and showed to some of my teachers and they said this topic is not good for doing research because it was very new at that time. In fact, I wanted to do research in the competition law. So when I submitted a research proposal in 2010, this competition law was not in operation because it was in a very, very beginning stage. So every teacher suggested me, it's not appropriate to do a research now because Competition Commission is yet to decide cases. So in the absence of that, if you do research, subsequently Competition Commission may give in a different way. that will all tarnish or torpedo your research. Now, when I got this opinion, one day prior to my synopsis presentation for the PhD, one day prior. So I had only one night with me to make a new proposal. Now, what I did, I was just going through the Google. Then I found a judicial observation. At that time, there was a case, there was a law commission report wherein the judiciary has observed there is a need for making a law to deal with surrogacy. So that judicial observation, I thought judiciary is saying there is a need for creating law for dealing with surrogacy. So within that one night, I made a proposal for surrogacy. And subsequently, next day I presented it and it got approved and I completed my PhD on surrogacy. So that judicial observations will help you to make a topic, a very good topic, identify a very good topic. Now, next one is PRS Legislative Research. It's a website. This will also help you to identify a good research topic for making a proposal. Those who have visited this PRS website, you know that. Others, please visit this website. What is the significance of this website? This website will tell you, or this website is a database of various amendments, pending amendments, etc. Year-wise, you can see what are the legislations enacted, what are the amendments introduced, which are the amendments pending, which are the amendments were not successful. All that data you will get. Now, how it will help you? It will help in the sense, whenever an amendment is being introduced, whenever a new bill is being proposed, these amendments or bills wanted to solve a legal issue in the Indian society. That is why legislature wanted to introduce a new legislation. So that legal issue is something very relevant. That legal issue needs an answer. So that will help you to create a problem, or that will help you to make it as your topic. So what was the purpose behind introducing a new legislation? Or what is the purpose behind introducing an amendment? That purpose, you can convert it as your topic. So you will get a very good idea about, or you will get a lot of idea about making a topic. So that way you can make topic. That is another point. Then you can visit Shodhganga. Shodhganga is UGC's PhD database. And when you visit Shodhganga, you will be able to identify you will be able to see number of PhD theses. And if you read 10 to 15 PhD theses, its introduction part, you will get an idea how a research question can be, how a research topic can be. You will definitely get an idea. With that idea, you will be able to make a new topic, or you will be able to make a good topic. That is what PhD, this Shodhganga website will help you. Then other than that, almost all the institutions, especially foreign institutions and Indian institutions, where they are having their PhD database as well as dissertation database. And if you go through various PhD theses, various dissertations available in this database, you will definitely get an idea about a topic, so that topic you can take it as yours and modify it properly so that it will become a good topic for your research. This topic will help you to succeed in getting funding. If your research questions, so if your research topic is good, that topic itself will give an assurance you will definitely get selected in the funding, or for doing PhD research, or for doing your dissertation. So that way you have to identify a topic. Once you identified a topic, then you have to create a basic understanding about the issues. Some basic understanding. What are the legal issues there? What are the questions you wanted to identify? Is there any literature available for that? All that thing you have to do. Then you have to make an abstract. In some of the funding agencies, they will very specifically say, you have to give an abstract, 300 words abstract about your research. Then only you have to submit a detailed proposal. So if that be the case, you have to create an abstract. By doing this many things, you can make an abstract very good way. So that is the second thing you have to do before making a proposal. Once you do these two steps, then you can think about making a research proposal. Now, when you start making a research proposal, make sure that you must have a title of your book. Definitely, you must have a title. Without a title, you don't submit any proposal. A title should be very attractive. Now, I'll tell you how you can make an attractive title. Suppose you are doing a research on surrogacy in India. You will do, probably we will make a title like law relating to surrogacy in India, an overview, or a critical examination of law relating to surrogacy in India, or something like that. Now, I would say, don't make such type of titles. Make a title which is very attractive. And how you can make that? Go through various articles dealing with the topic of surrogacy. You will get number of good titles you will see, especially when you read foreign articles. Their titles are very, very, very attractive and very catchy. So you go through all these titles, or at least 10 to 15 articles you read, only the title part. You will get an idea how to make a good title. So with that idea, you make a title, your title become very attractive. So that is what the title. Once you made the title, the next thing is background of the study. Some research proposal, they will say introduction or significance, like that. But whatever it is, you must have a background of the study. Background of the study means, what is this? What is this topic talking about? That is it. Not about what you are going to do. Okay, when you are saying background of the study, you have to say, what is this topic all about? That's it. Like if you are going to do a research on same-sex marriage, then you have to give the background, what is same-sex marriage and how it is happening, what is the legal position, etc. You have to say. That is the background. So once a person read that background, they will come to know, okay, this is what is happening in India now. Then next component you have to mention there is identification of the problem, or rationale of the study, or justifications of the study. There you have to explain what problem you have identified. Okay, this is the situation, or this is the present position regarding same-sex marriage. But what is the problem in that? Why you want to do a study on that? That is what your rationale of the study. So there you will justify. This is the reason why I am going to do a study on this particular topic. Then the next component in your research proposal must be research objective. There you have to say, through this study, I will identify the following answers for the following questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Minimum at least 5 or 6 questions you must have. Never do a research with 2 questions. Never do a research with 1 question. Always do a research with 4 or 5 questions. Once you made a research objectives, next is research problem. How you are going to do this research, or your hypothesis. In the law subject, in legal research, we may not use the term hypothesis, but some of the institutions are having both research problem as well as hypothesis. In that sense, research problem will be a question, hypothesis is a statement. So both way it is being practiced in India. There is no uniformity regarding research problem and hypothesis. Somewhere it is considered as both are same, and some institution research problem is a question, hypothesis is a statement, and in some place both are being used. So whatever it is, whichever funding agency you are submitting, what they were saying, accordingly you have to mention. So research problem you have to make, it should be a question, a single question. A single question is your research problem. Whether the existing law is sufficient enough to deal with human and ethical issues, human rights and ethical issues created by or concerns of same-sex marriage. So that is your research problem. Then hypothesis. If hypothesis is like a statement, generally it is being considered as a statement only, then you can say the existing Indian legal framework is not sufficient enough to deal with various concerns raised by same-sex marriage in India. That is your hypothesis. Then you have to mention research questions. Now, what is this research question? You have one single question as your research problem. This research question, research problem, you have to split into small questions. That is your research questions, like 5 or 6 or 7 questions. Now, one easy way of making research question is your research objectives. You wanted to identify what is the legal position of same-sex marriage as per Hindu person. You want to have another objective. What is the legal validity of same-sex marriage as per Christian person, as per Mohammedan law? Like that, you have research question, research objective. So you can make research question very easily. Whether Hindu law recognizes validity of same-sex marriage, whether Christian law recognizes validity of same-sex marriage, whether Muhammadan law recognizes validity of same-sex marriage. So like that, what are research objectives you wanted to identify, that you make it as a question form. You will get a research question. And the sum total of the answers will give you the answer to your research problem. And the sum total of your research questions will give you or will test your hypothesis. Your hypothesis will be proved either good or bad based on the answers of research questions. So research objectives, research problem, research questions. These three should have a clear connection and it should be very clear. And if it is very clear, I am sure your research will be very, very easy. If you are not clear about these three things, your research is not a quality research. But you will be able to do the thesis, you will be able to submit the project, but without knowing what are your research objectives, what is your research problem, what are your research questions, I would say your research is not a quality research. Okay, so make sure that you have research objectives, you have research problem, you have research questions. Now, once you have all this, then the next thing is chapterization. You have to write how you are going to chapterize. And it is very easy. Once you have research questions, you can simply discuss 1 or 2 research questions in each chapters. So your chapterization will be very easy. It should be based on research questions. So you made the chapterization. Once you made the chapterization, then the question is how you will prepare this. Obviously, research methodology. So research methodology will come into question. Now, when it comes to research methodology, I would say 95% of legal research in India are based on doctrinal research. 95%. And very few percentage is happening based on empirical data. And very few are happening socio-legal research. But interestingly, when I go through some dissertation and thesis, I could see they will write their research methodology as empirical method of research. Now, very anxiously, I will read that, how they did this empirical research, what is their methodology and how they did it. I wanted to know that. When I will look into their empirical data part or that chapter, I would see certain graph, certain diagrams, etc. And the most interesting thing is these are all created through Google Forms. What they actually done, they have circulated, they have created some questions in Google Form and they circulated randomly. And whatever information they got, they filled it. And based on that information, Google automatically created certain chart and all that thing they have put it in their chart. I would say that is not empirical method of research. Okay, don't misunderstand. That is not empirical method of research. That is only collection of information. That is only collection of information. And again, when you are collecting information by circulating this Google Forms, the error is must. Why? Because who is the respondent? You are giving it to a random. You are simply uploading it in Google, WhatsApp groups and etc. And your respondents, your sample, the size of the sample, everything matters while discussing about empirical research. And finally, you have to do data analysis. Whenever a person does empirical research, he has to do data analysis. How they will do data analysis? Either through SPSS website or through our software. I can tell you, majority of law teachers or legal researchers are unaware of SPSS, are unaware of our software. I couldn't find any law teacher in India who is actually having expertise in SPSS or our software. Our software, nobody is there, I'm sure. SPSS, some people are there, SPSS, but that too with limited knowledge. Limited knowledge. So when you say research methodology, never ever say you have collected information through Google Form so that you have done empirical research. Secondly, when you are collecting information through outdoor survey or something, that also not empirical research. Because you just went to some industry or some people and asked some question and you were saying, see, these are all my findings. This is my empirical data. It is not empirical data. Okay. So whenever you say research methodology, whatever you are doing is doctrinal method. Only doctrinal method. But if you are collecting information through Google Forms, it's only information you collected for making a particular argument. Like I can tell you, I did a legal research in India, in Kerala. The title is Biodiversity Management Committees. How the biodiversity management committees are functioning in Kerala. Now, my research methodology was doctrinal method of research. But what I did, about 990 biodiversity management committees are there in Kerala. I went and discussed or collected information from majority of these biodiversity management committees. Now, why I collected that information? Only to make an argument or only to support my argument. These are the way in which biodiversity management committees are functioning in Kerala. I want to say only that. So when I am saying biodiversity management committee is functioning in such and such way, they are doing this many activities like that, definitely people will ask, what is your source? From where you got this idea? Then I can say, see, I have collected this many places I visited. They said, these are the things they are doing. So based on that, I am saying, this is the way in which the biodiversity management committee is functioning in Kerala. So likewise, you can use the knowledge or information you gain through survey, not as empirical method. That is what research methodology, you have to be very clear about that. Why I said this particular aspect, when you submit your research proposal to any funding agency, if you are saying you are doing an empirical research, they will simply reject it. Without saying anything, they will simply reject it. They will say, you haven't mentioned sample, you haven't provided the tools for the analysis, etc., 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 etc. Okay, so never go by that misconception about research methodology. Once you have mentioned the research methodology, then comes research plan, that is research design. How you are going to do this? What way you will spend the allotted time? It is like a timeline. Suppose you have 6 months time for completing this research. First 1 month for material collection, next 2 months for reading and analyzing the materials, next 2 months for preparation of chapter, next 1 month for finalization of chapter. So like that, you make a research plan, the timeline, how you will utilize your entire allotted time of research. Then comes contribution of the study. What is the contribution of the study of your research? What is the contribution? In fact, the contribution is you will get a LLM or you will get a PhD or you will get funding. That is not the contribution impact. What the funding agency is looking, how your legal research will fill the gap existing in the legal framework. So you have to be very careful while saying that. This way, my research is very relevant. Like when I did my research on biodiversity management committees functioning in Kerala, I was the first person to do such a research. Though we had biodiversity management committees functioning from very long back in Kerala, there were no study directly done to understand what they are actually doing. So I was the first person to do that research. So in my contribution of the study, I wrote, I couldn't find any such study in this regard, but some other states have done that. So that is my contribution of the study. My research will be the first literature on this particular issue or particular topic. So like that, and that will act as a base for further research. So that way you have to emphasize what is the contribution of the study or contribution of your research. Then you have to say literature review. As I said earlier, literature review is not a summary of existing literature. Literature review means you have to identify what are the existing literatures. Identification means a proper, thorough identification. Then you have to say, what is the gap existing in these literatures? Because once you will write literature review, you will be able to say, or the reader will be able to say, okay, though these many literatures are there, these are the questions they were unanswered. Even if they were answering that question, it is not in a proper way. So there is a need for doing a research. Funding agency will be happy. Your research supervisor will be happy. Immediately they will ask, okay, proceed. You can continue with this research. So these are the components you have to definitely include while writing research proposal. I think that is clear. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Then once you make the research proposal, then the normal question is how you are going to make the research report, how you will write the chapter. There are so many methods, so many ways in which you can write the chapter, etc. But I will tell you one of the easiest way, which I find it very easy, or I find it very convenient. Okay. Whenever you are doing any research, be it for writing an article, dissertation, thesis, or project, once you have a research proposal, the next thing you have to do is create tentative headings in your each chapter. Suppose you are doing a research on same-sex marriage. Now, your first chapter is talking about introduction. Don't write introduction at the beginning. This is a golden rule. Okay. This is a golden rule according to me. Whatever you are writing, either for dissertation or for thesis or for project, introduction chapter you never write at the beginning. Now, you may say, if there is no introduction chapter, then how I will proceed further? You have a research proposal. You know what are the chapters. You know what are the questions you have to identify. Do it. Don't go with introduction first. Why I am saying so? Those who have done PhD, they will agree with me. They have taken at least 6 to 8 months or 1 year or even more than that for writing their introduction chapter. More than 1 year for writing the introduction chapter. Those who are doing dissertation, at least 6 to 7 months they will take for writing introduction chapter and its correction, etc. Then they may have another 5 chapters. All that 5 chapters they will write in 1 month in case of dissertation or 2 months. And in case of PhD, first 2 to 3 years they will take time for writing introduction. Then remaining 1 year or 1.5 years they will take for writing all other chapters. Now see, your introduction will be very quality introduction, very, very brilliant introduction. But what about these 8 chapters or 6 chapters you have written in 6 months or 7 months or 8 months? Clear. This is the problem I'm saying. So better, not better, you never write introduction first. And once you write all the chapters, I will tell you, 2 hours or less than 2 hours is sufficient to write your introduction chapter. Less than 2 hours is sufficient to write your introduction chapter. Because in introduction chapter, you were supposed to write what you are going to do in this work. And that you will come to know only after doing the work. Once you undergone all the chapters and carried out all the chapters, all the corrections, you know very well what are the content of your chapter, what you have done actually. Write that as introduction. Within 1 or 2 hours, your introduction will be ready. And again, another important tips I can tell you, when you write chapters, you definitely include an introduction for every chapter. There may be some teachers, there may be some institution, they will say there is no need of introduction, it is optional. I would say you must mention introduction to every chapter. If you mention introduction to every chapter, that introductions, if you put it in a different way, become your introduction chapter. Along with little bit part of your research proposal, if you take, your introduction chapter is ready within 1 day or 1 hour. I have experienced this. And I used to say to my students, and my students were also doing the same. So you can also do that. You just try. Once you write everything, then you can make introduction easy. Or else you take the case of your article writing. When you write introduction, you will write so many good things. But when you end up with your article, your introduction and article content may not go hand in hand. So you will modify your introduction. Why it is happening? It is happening because while writing introduction, you have a lot of ideas. But in reality, you will not be able to put it in paper. So you will have to modify the introduction. That is the problem. So instead of that, first you write the remaining part, then you write the introduction. It will be very easy. Your introduction and the content will go hand in hand. Same way with respect to abstract. I have the habit of writing full paper first. Then I will write abstract. I never submit any abstract to any conferences, just only abstract. First, I will make the full paper, then I will submit the abstract. Based on that full paper, within the 5 to 10 minutes, I can make the abstract. I will submit. Now, when I'm saying this, several people used to ask me, what will happen if they were not selecting our abstract? Nothing to worry. We will publish it. It's not mandatory or it is not necessary. Everyone should accept our abstract. If they were not accepting, we will submit it to some other place. Either we will publish it or we will submit it to some other conference. So better you write full paper first, then make abstract. Same way, make all chapters, then make introduction chapter. Okay. So for doing that, you must have a tentative headings. Now, what is the relevance of these tentative headings? Say, for example, when you are writing a chapter on Indian perspective or international law, international legal framework, you will start with introduction. Then what is the concept under international law that you have to explain? Then history and development of international law in that regard. Then the present law, the existing treaties and the scope of the treaty, weakness of the treaty. Is there any international judicial decisions? That one and its criticism. Then finally, conclusion. This many tentative headings you must have. So likewise, for every chapter, you must make different tentative headings. And based on that tentative headings, you start thinking, collecting materials. You have to collect materials. That material collection will always happen based on tentative headings. If you don't have tentative headings, your material collection will be very, very, very poor. Very, very poor. Like without having tentative heading, if you are approaching this particular our topic, same-sex marriage, you will simply search in Google same-sex marriage in the legal framework or same-sex marriage and law. That's it. Instead of that, same-sex marriage and International Court of Justice, same-sex marriage and European Court of Human Rights, same-sex marriage and American Charter, like that, different headings you will use. You will get different articles. So same way, you create tentative headings and utilize that. And once you create tentative headings, the next question is from where you will collect materials. From where you will collect materials. You all know, you all might have done it through library research. We will go to the library. We will see what are the books, what are the dictionaries, encyclopedia, journal, commission reports, etc. dealing with this particular topic. From there, whatever is available, we will either take a photocopy, or we will take a photo, or we will take a notes. That is as usual you are all doing. Then the second way, nowadays everybody mostly depending on Google and online databases. We have large number of online databases which provides materials like Jester, Hain Online, Westlaw. So many are there. Depend upon the institution you are affiliated. That institutions might have some subscription. You can utilize all these online databases. Using online databases, you can download large number of articles. Then Shodhaganga. This is, as I said earlier, a PhD database created by UGC, where you will get not many PhD theses, or almost all the PhD theses. And you can download full text free of cost. Now, when you do that, you may see some theses which discussing your topic or similar to that. You can take that. That will also provide a lot of material. Then, as I said earlier, most of the institutions having their own database, which contains full text of the PhD theses, dissertations, etc. Like you can see my university having our database tuti.kusa.ac.in, Edge University having their PhD database, edguthesis.com. So if you go through that, you will get not many material. Then another thing is SSR, Social Science Research Network. You can all create a username and password there. Once you create a profile there, you can download. Even without that also, you can download any number of documents dealing with your tool. So just go through SSRN, search, you can identify large number of materials, large number of articles. Then World Legal Information Institute, worldlii.org. I don't know whether you have heard about this. If you are not heard, you just go through this. This will help you to get legislations from different countries. Generally, when you search legislations like I wanted surrogacy law in Philippines, so I will search surrogacy and Philippine law. I may not get these. I may get some articles, some newspaper reports and everything, but I may not get the exact legislation. Now, if you go through World LII, there is country-specific search. And if you click on the countries, you will get countries' legislation. That country's total legislations are listed there. Their judicial decisions are also listed there. Journal articles are also listed there. So using World LII, you can get large number of articles. That to country-specific materials, legislation, case laws, their district courts decisions, their state courts decisions, etc., you will get. Similar to that, we have one Legal Information Institute, which is affiliated to this World Legal Information Institute, that is LII of India. If you go through this, most of the national law universities journal, full text is available in that. Plus, so many legislations, so many cases, so many other articles are available. So going through these materials, these websites, using internet, you can collect large number of materials. Then Sci-Hub. I think you might have heard about Sci-Hub, right? Sci-Hub is nothing. It is a tool actually. It's a tool which will help you to get articles. When you search in Google, you will find so many articles, but some of the articles, full text is not available. Only abstract they may provide. If you want full text, you need to subscribe. They will say subscribe. Now you will not find any other option. wherever you will check, everywhere they were saying subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. So you won't get the full text. In that sense, that context, you can use SciHub. SciHub will help you to get all those almost 95% of articles, which is otherwise not freely available in internet. Whenever you will find any article which needs subscription for getting full text, just check whether that article having a DOI number. If that article having a DOI number, copy that DOI number and paste it in SciHub. Just give a click, enter, you will get the article full text, free of cost. So that means what, around 95%, very few articles are not available through SciHub, but otherwise majority, 95% of articles are available in SciHub through DOI search. So utilize SciHub in an effective way, you can collect large number of articles. Then free books, 1LIB, or in other words, Z library. You go through Z library, you can download large number of textbooks. Large number of textbooks. If time permits, I will show you how this website, you will know that. But otherwise also you can search Z library, you can download large number of textbook, PDF version, free of cost. Only thing is there is a limit. Per day you can download only 10 books. Only 10 books. Okay, only 10 books. But after 24 hours, again you can download like that. At least 1 or 2 weeks if you spend, you can download large number of books. And almost all the very costly foreign books are available there free of cost. Like Malcolm Shaw's International, or even our Bangia, Avatar Singh, Achyutam Pillai, S.K. Kapoor, all these books are also available in Z library. So you can utilize Z library. Okay. So these are the research tools through which you can collect large number of articles. Clear? Then comes some other tips I can tell. Generally, people will say, in my topic, I have only one case and I have only one article. I have only one textbook, nothing else. With that one article, how I will write or how I will prepare my chapter or research report. I would say, if you have one article, with that one article, you may end up in 1,000 articles. You know how it is? Very simple task. Just go through the footnotes of that articles. Because every good article will contain number of footnotes. Just go through the footnotes of those articles and bibliography of that articles. And search that footnote. Just copy paste that footnote and search. You will get other articles. So from one article, you may get 10 new articles. And each 10 article go through its footnotes. You will get another 10 articles. So like that, if you do research, you will get minimum 1,000 articles for your book. So that way you can very easily collect large number of materials. Even those who are doing dissertation, moot court, or article writing, they will all say, I have only one article. We don't have any article. We don't have a case. That is another interesting thing. People will say, we don't have a case directly talking about this. Or there is only one case that is giving totally a different version, or it is against us. That is sufficient. Even if that case is against you, you go through the full text of the case. There will be a person who is representing your interest. That is the losing party. What was his argument? For arguing that, what all cases he referred, what all books he cited, go through the full text of those cases. So from one case, you will get number of other cases. And if you are going through by Manipatra, Manipatra will give you a hyperlink. In the one full text, if another case is mentioned, they will simply give a hyperlink. Just click on that, it will go to another website, another page with a new case. So like that, you can collect large number of material. So you have now large number of materials. Only thing is, you need to read, analyze, and make it to your, prepare your report. Okay, so these are some of the tools. Now coming to Google search. Another some more tips I can tell you. Google search. This is one of the important thing you all must remember. Google search. Whenever you need any information, you will simply search in Google. I would say that is okay, you do it, but when you search something, give a .pdf. Like if you are searching history and development of so and so, like history and development of law relating to surrogacy. Now what you have to do, you search like this, history and development of surrogacy .pdf. Now what is the relevance of that, or what is the significance of that? Significance is when you search with adding .pdf, you will get responses only PDF document. PDF document. Generally, most of the good journals are uploaded their articles in PDF form. Commission reports, legislations, etc. They will upload only in PDF. And when you search without .pdf, you will get a response mainly web page responses. These web pages are student-run blogs, some predatory journal websites, or some newspaper, some NGOs page, etc. Now, the interesting thing, normally in web page, whatever information you have seen or whatever information you are receiving, that will all sometimes misleading, sometimes abrupt, sometimes confusing. So you will also simply follow that, and you will simply give footnote as this website says so, but that may be a wrong information. I can tell you one single example regarding that wrong information legal research. I used to say every time, right against sexual harassment at workplace. Can anybody tell me in which case this right was established in India? Somebody can tell.
Vishaga versus
Vishaga versus state of Rajasthan. Correct. In which article? Under which article this right was established? Whether it was established as a fundamental right? Under which article? Article 21, 20, 19, where? Somebody can say. Otherwise, you can search in Google. You will get under which article Vishaga it was introduced.
21.
21. Okay. Which was the international document judiciary referred for making this right as a fundamental right? If you search in Google, you will get an answer. Which was the international document they referred? Any answer? You all studied, you all read, you might have written an article on this. Which was the international document referred in Vishaga for making such a right or creating such a right in India? Yes, please. Any answer? No answer. No, it's not just to tell you how the information is being manipulated in internet. See, I will tell you the document, most of the articles in internet and even some textbook will say SIDO. Right, SIDO, you might be heard about SIDO. Now, interestingly, if you go through Vishaga versus State of Rajasthan, it's full text. None of the articles from Indian Constitution is referred in that. Not even a single article. Not even a single article from Indian Constitution is referred in Vishaga. Second interesting aspect is in SIDO, if you go through all the articles of SIDO, there is no right against sexual harassment at workplace mentioned in SIDO. You can go through SIDO's full text. There is no such right mentioned in SIDO. Then how it is possible It is being introduced under such and such article based on pseudo. Somebody wrote it like that. And everywhere people are repeating that. Everywhere. Even teachers are teaching that. Textbooks are saying the same. But you could not find any single article in Vishana News. You could not find pseudo in Vishana. Or rather, pseudo is not talking about this right. Okay. Now, what has actually happened? In the Vishaka case, this right was established, I think, I'm not sure, but I think as a part of right against right to employment. Under Article 16, it was right to employment, I think so. Why? Because pseudo says when a woman is affected with this type of practice, it will adversely affect her equality in employment. So I can say maybe this right is created based on Article 16 of Indian Constitution. But interestingly, Article 16 is not referred in pseudo. Okay. Now, not referred in this case. Then pseudo. Pseudo does not contain this right. Rather, one of the committee which interpreted right to equality in employment mentioned in pseudo talks about or includes right against sexual harassment at workplace. In fact, Indian judiciary referred that committee's report. And thereby they said, we have a right. And subsequently, through other decisions, this right is made as a part of Article 21, not under Vishana. But some other decision like Apparel Export Promotion Council versus A.K. Chopra, etc., it become part of Article 21. So now it is a part of Article 21, but not based on Vishana. So this is the information you will get in web pages, this type of information. Like that, so many examples I can tell you. But if you go through PDF documents, generally they are correct. They are up to date. So go through Google search using .pdf. That is one important thing. Second thing is Google Books. Generally, people will say, Google Books does not help us. Why? Because it does not provide the full text. And even if it provides a few pages, we won't be able to copy or download it. Now, I would say, when you are doing a research, you have a topic, you are identifying an answer to a particular question. Google Books will provide review of certain pages. If you are lucky enough, that preview pages will cover your research question or your required information. So in that sense, Google Books, you go through even Google Books, you will get number of informations. Then Google Scholar Alert. This is an option provided by Google. If you register your name, subject of interest, topics, etc., whenever a new article is being uploaded in Google, you will get an email containing the link of that article. So the advantage is, suppose you are starting your research and you have collected a large number of material. Every day you cannot go through the Google and search whether anything new, and you may not be able to identify which is new, which is old, like that. So once you complete all the Google research and everything, the next thing you have to do Google Scholar Alert, so that if something new appears in the websites, any of the site, you will get an information. See, there is an article uploaded. So you can just go through that link, thereby you can download that article. The next thing you can do is Academia and ResearchGate or SID, scholar.google.com. All these things where you can create your profile. It's just like our LinkedIn or Facebook, etc., but dealing with only academic activities. You can upload your articles, you can upload your book chapters, etc. And along with that, you will be able to download the same uploaded by other researchers. And you can follow them, you can have a discussion with them, you can talk with them. All that is possible. Like when you do a legal research, if you come across a particular person's article, you can discuss with him. He will tell you more about that. He may have a different idea. Even when I was doing my research, I had interacted with several of other researchers doing research in my own area. So that will help us to improve the quality of our research, that will help us to get more and more dimensions of our research. So for that, this academia, ResearchGate, ORCID, etc. will help you. And you will get a lot of articles also from that. Then, once you collected material, then the next task is preparation of research report. It is very easy task. If you have large number of materials, then you think about preparing research report. Without collecting sufficient material, never start preparing research reports. Okay. What I was thinking is collection of material is the difficult task, not writing the research report. Writing research report is very easy, but collection of material is the difficult task. So collect as far as possible maximum number of materials. Now, when you collect materials, one thing you have to make sure, especially online material, you have to make sure that you will create different folders. Like you have 7 chapters. Okay. You create 7 folders with the title chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, etc. Then before collecting material, you have created tentative headings for each chapter. So what you have to do, in each chapter folder, you create subfolders with that headings, with the tentative headings. Now, when you do that, the advantage is whenever you are downloading a material, you can place it in the appropriate folder. Otherwise, what will happen, if you are collecting material entirely through one particular folder, you need to read one right from beginning to end. That will take a lot of time. If you are collecting like 10,000 articles, then that will be too Herculean task. Instead of that, when you are downloading an article, you just have a glance of 1 minute. You will come to know this article is good for my 5th chapter. Save it only in 5th chapter folder, not in 1st chapter, so that you need to read that article only when you are making your 5th chapter or 4th chapter. So like that, you create different folders, different subheadings, and place it so that your work will be very easy and convenient. And once you do that, then you think about writing your chapter, content chapter 1 or the 2nd chapter. You have a folder.
Participants kindly unmute.
Okay, so you have a chapter, you are going to write chapter 2. Now you have 150 articles you collected for chapter 2. You thought this 150 articles contains materials relevant for chapter 2. So you start reading one by one. But interesting thing, when you read an article, that article may not be limited only to your chapter 2. That article may contain something relevant for your introduction chapter. That article may contain something relevant for your 2nd chapter, maybe for 3rd, 4th, like that, even for suggestion also. That chapter may be relevant, or that article may be relevant. So what you have to do is, you create again folders like the same, like chapter 1, chapter 2, and heading wise. Then, when you read one article, you copy paste. Suppose you thought the 2nd paragraph is good for your 3rd chapter. You copy that entire 2nd paragraph and paste it in the 3rd chapter folder. Under the making a Word format, create a heading and paste it there. But when you copy paste like that, make sure that you are copy pasting its correct citations from where this particular sentence you are copying. Okay, so like that, if you do reading your 150 articles, only one time you need to read that 150 articles. Otherwise, what will happen? Whenever, if you are having 10,000 articles, for each chapter, you need to read all these 10,000 articles. That's a very Herculean task. Instead of that, when you read one article, take out which are the part relevant for which are the chapter and copy paste there. It will remain there and your work will be very easy. And the interesting thing, once you read 150 articles for making chapter 2, you will get lot of confidence, because by simply reading the articles available for chapter 2, you got more materials for third chapter, materials for the second chapter, this for the conclusion, even for suggestion also you got. So you will become very confident while writing second chapter. And once you copy paste like that, then what you have to do, you take each word file and start making it in your own sentence. Don't follow the sentence you copy paste. You convert it into your own way. That will, otherwise it will amount to plagiarism. That we will discuss in the second half, second session. Anyway, so whatever word file you copy pasted, that suppose you have a thing like history. History you copied from 10 articles, you copied history and you pasted in one word file. Then read that part, then you identify which is the relevant information, convert it into your language and give appropriate footnotes. Your history will be very easy, very simple. So like that, if you can do, your research would be very easy. You can complete it very effectively. There won't be any break. Otherwise, what will happen? I can tell you, most of the researchers are facing this problem. They will do research, they will write first chapter. Then they will think what should be written in second chapter. They won't get any idea. They will get stuck with second chapter because they cannot proceed. But if you go by the method which I said, then you are already clear. Whenever you will get time, you will keep on continuing that. There won't be any break. And make sure that if you are doing any research, do every day. It's not the case every day you have to sit and write, but you have to have an idea at least in mind every day. At least 5 to 10 minutes every day you have to spend in mind. Then your work will be easy. Otherwise, what will happen? You will write something today and you will take a break of 3 days. Then 4th day when you start, you will have to start right from the beginning. That will be a very time-taking process. So instead of that, you continue it. It should be a continuous process. Then it will be very easy. The second important thing you have to remember while preparing a research report is simple and clear language. Whatever you will write, make it in a very simple and clear language. There is a misconception among our legal fraternity. Those who speak very good jargons, very good vocabulary, that is something very great. And those who will speak and write in a very simple and clear way, that is not up to the. I will tell you, those who will write in simple and clear language, that will remain. And those who are using all big jargons and vocabulary, nice vocabularies, that will be very good for hearing. Once you hear, that is over. Once a session is over, session is over. That's it. You don't have anything to take it. Very rarely, those who are speaking in such a way will give you something which you can carry forward. But otherwise, those who will speak in a simple and clear language, they will say something good, you will be able to remember it. So the same way, when you are writing something, even articles also, when you read an article, if you understand that article, you will remember it. If you are not understanding, you will never take time for understanding it through searching dictionaries and everything. You never do that. Nobody will do that. So you write in a very simple and clear language. That is your information. What information you want to pass to the reader, that should be clearly conveyed. So your language should be very clear. Then connection link, that is very important. Whenever we say something, it should have a proper connection. It should be just like, suppose you are writing international perspective. First you are writing history, then you are writing definition and concept, then you are writing criticism, then you are writing international convention. Never do that. You make it in an order. That connection link should be there. So that when a reader reads one paragraph, he can anticipate what should be the next paragraph or what should be the next chapter is going to talk. So like that, when you write any paragraph, any chapter, there is an indication that what will continue from this. That way you have to make a connection link. And it's a very easy task. It's not a big thing. You read some good article, you can make out how that connection link they have developed. Then proper order. Connection, link and proper order is somewhat same way. You should have proper order. Then introduction and conclusion. That is very important. I said, whenever you are writing a chapter, even if your institution is not particular about having an introduction, you must make an introduction and conclusion in your chapters. If you can make introduction to every chapter, your first chapter, you can write it in within 1 hour. Because all these introduction you club together and put it in a different way, your introduction will be ready. Then conclusion. Every chapter, whatever you have identified, that is what you are supposed to put it in the conclusion chapter. Generally, what I could see in certain research, they will write very nice chapters. And in conclusion chapter, they will provide some conclusions. But that conclusions will not have any connection with the chapters. So I used to ask them, from where you got this conclusion, in which chapter you identified this conclusion? They don't have an answer. Why it is happening? They got the conclusion from some other article or some books that they just checked. So don't do like that. That's a very poor method of research. You find out in each chapter what you identified, that you have to mention as your conclusion in the chapter. And that conclusions together, when you combine together, will become your conclusion for the research. And while concluding, you will identify some weaknesses existing in the legal framework. So you will get an opportunity to provide suggestions. So without any suggestion, if you are doing a legal research, that will not have a value. Otherwise, what will happen? We have identified a legal issue, and at the end of the day, we identified that there is no problem. That means our initial idea is wrong. So generally, it is considered that once you will end, you have to end up with suggestion. And you can end up with suggestion only if there is some lacuna. And lacuna in the sense, it should not be gap. It can be for more refining it. It may be effective, but you wanted to make it more effective. Like that, you can give suggestion. So it's not always saying demerits, but you can say it is good. As of now, it is good, but it should be made more effective. And how it can be made more effective, that you can say. So that way, suggestions you have to make. I think this much is clear. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the important thing is, generally, some of the people will say, how we will correct the grammar. When I will write something, there may be some mistakes involved in that, how I can clear the mistakes. So you can use Grammarly software. There is a software, Grammarly, that will help you. You can, if you want, you can take a free software, or they will allow subscription. So very minimal amount per month you can take. Or if you are doing so many people are there, you can take collectively, you can take that. And using Grammarly software, once you will install in your laptop or mobile, even if you are writing an email, they will tell you which are the mistakes involved in that email. So that will help you to avoid grammar mistakes. Then spelling mistakes. You have to be very careful. Make sure that when you are writing author's name, article's name, book's name, there should not be any spelling mistakes. Then plagiarism. You have to avoid plagiarism. Then cross-checking of articles, books, sections, cases, etc. This is very important. There is a very good practice among the legal researchers. When they will give footnotes or bibliography, they will simply copy footnotes or bibliography from other articles. Like especially case citations and everything. If I wanted to write Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, I will simply see which article I saw Vishaka, what is the citation given in that I will copy paste. I will tell you, sometimes that will be a wrong thing. Most of the time that will create trouble. And if you copy paste like that, that will be identified as plagiarism. Okay, so never do that. And even if you are doing that, you make sure that that footnote is correct. It's not a wrong footnote. I will tell you one example. If you search in Google, you will see a statement. Commercial surrogacy is legalized in 2002. Somebody might have written an article also that, and you might have mentioned that commercial surrogacy is legalized in 2002. And when I started my research, I also found this commercial surrogacy is legalized in 2002. I have seen several textbooks also saying the same. But I wanted to see who legalized and how it is legalized. So whatever footnotes they were saying, some other article they were mentioning as well. Wherever this statement is there, footnote is some other article. So I thought, see, in India, something you are saying is legalized, either there should be a legislation, or there should be an ordinance, or there should be a judicial decision. Then only we can say it is legalized in India. Otherwise, the law is silent about that. That we can say. So I wanted to see which legislation legalized in 2002, which executive order, or which judicial decision. I couldn't find anything. Then I thought, from where these people are writing it is legalized. Finally, I had submitted an RTI to the central ministry. And central ministry given an answer. We haven't did anything. There is no legislation. There is nothing like that. But still, even now, when people are writing, they will say it was legalized in 2002. I don't know why. So like that, mistakes you never commit in your research reports. Okay. Then cover page. Every research projects or things must have a cover page. And generally, institutional guidelines will be there. What should all contain in the cover page? And accordingly, you have to mention the cover page. And if there is no such guideline available, then you have to make it in a proper way. Then preliminary pages. Definitely, every research projects will ask certain preliminary pages like certificate, acknowledgement, preface, list of cases, abbreviations, etc. Then page setting. Definitely, page setting guidelines will be there. How many total page number or word limit. Then page number, how it should be given. Font size, which font you can use. What should be the spacing. All that thing you have to take care of. Then finally, footnotes and bibliography. Every research projects, generally they will say the footnote style should be in such and such way. If there is no such specification, you can use either Blue Book, Red Book, OSCOLA, ILI, or SILC, whichever standard footnote method is there, that you can follow. But make sure that if you are using OSCOLA, use OSCOLA for everything in that project. It's not the case. For a case citation, you will use ILI. For a book citation, you will use OSCOLA. Like that, never do. If you are using OSCOLA throughout your project, right from the cover page to last page, you should follow OSCOLA in that way. Otherwise, it will be a wrong practice. So these are the things you have to take care while preparing your research. And the final part of this lecture is approaching funding agency. Approaching funding agencies. Last thing is, while identifying a funding agency, you have to see why you are doing this research. Is it for getting a job? Is it for getting a postdoctoral fellowship? Is it for simply improving your CV? Is it for getting some, appointing some research scholars or researchers like that? So what is your purpose behind doing this research? That you have to be very clear. Then accordingly, you have to identify funding agencies. Without this idea, randomly, you never search for funding agency, because every funding agency have their own expectations. So they will see accordingly only. So you must have to select accordingly. Then once you identify a funding agency, next question is, do you have a well-written proposal? That is very important. Now, when you make this proposal, that proposal should be customized in accordance with that funding agency. Because several funding agencies are there, that funding agencies will differ in terms of approach. So the way in which they were requesting or asking you to submit proposal will differ. So your proposal should be in such a way more suitable to or satisfying the submission guideline provided by the funding agency. Once you have made the proposal, next thing is, are you approaching before the deadline? This is very important. This deadline is very important. Whenever you submit most of the case, if you're submitting through online, after deadline, you won't be able to submit. If it is not through online, then if you are submitting, you should make sure that your submission will reach before the deadline. Then email description and covering letter. This is very important. Generally, people will send email proposals and everything just like that. Please find attached my proposal. Or I am interested to do a research on such and such area. Please find attached the document for further details like that. Never do that. Especially for foreign funders, never do that. They will simply reject your mail. They won't even look into your proposal. They wanted a description, a motivation letter, or why you are approaching them with this research proposal. So in your email, you have to describe, I have selected you as a funder or as an institution for my research because of these research. And the details of my research is there with the proposal. So while reading that, they will come to know what is your idea and whether you are able to do this research with that institution. So that way you must have an email description. And along with that, you have to mention a covering letter. Why you are particular about this institution. Most of the institution will ask, along with research proposal, you must give a covering letter mentioning what is your purpose or statement of purpose, something like that. Then statement of purpose, definitely, even if they were not asking, you must have a statement of purpose. Once you submit the research proposal, these institutions are very busy, or the research supervisor may be very busy. So you need to have a proper follow-up. So at least in a regular interval, you can send a reminder email seeking the update, current status of a research proposal. So these many things you have to keep it in mind while approaching a funding agency. So if you have done it properly, like if you have a very sound research proposal, and that sound research proposal, if you are rightly identified the institution where you wanted to do the research, definitely that will get approved and you can continue with the research. So with this, I will end this session. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Before ending the session, I would like to take a moment to thank our dearest resource person, Dr. Aneesh.
Just a second. I could see some questions in the chat box.
Okay.
I'll just answer one or two in that. One question I could see whether these fundings are available for private organizations. That's a very, very relevant question. This UGC and ICSS are interest and everything. They will grant funding only to those teachers working in the UGC recognized UGC statute 12B. There is a section. As per that section, this institution might be recognized. Only those institutions or those researchers belongs to those institutions will get the funding. That is one very important thing. And those who are working in private organizations, they can approach NGOs and the ministry level, they can approach, they will provide. There is no bar in that. Only with respect to UGC and ICSS, that bar I can see. Then another thing is regarding Sci-Hub. Whether Sci-Hub is illegal or legal. Sci-Hub is purely legal, according to me. Why? Because if you go through our legal system, our law regarding copyright and everything, what they are doing is an illegal activity, but they are not making any money from that. Commercialization only prohibited through sharing. If you are not doing it as a business, sharing it for academic purposes, I would say sharing on literature or material for academic purposes, that is not an illegal activity. So in that sense, morally, this Sci-Hub is correct. Maybe technically, it may be a wrong thing because it may adversely affect the interest of the journals, books, etc. But morally, as far as researchers' point of view, I would say what they are doing is good. Then whether Sci-Hub is, yeah, that same question. Any other question? Anybody wanted to ask? Impress project is purely for individuals, not for institution, individual level. Because when I applied from Cochin University, I was the only person to get that in. I think only 3 or 4 persons got in law at that year. In 2018, only 4 persons got a research project in law. So you can apply. It's not regarding institution, only individual. Yes. Any other question?
Okay, sir, shall we wind up?
Yeah, if there is no questions, no more questions, we can wind up.
Okay, so sir, thank you so much for this wonderful section. I hope all participants found this session very informative. So now we will take some break and we will come back at 1:30 at the next session on research, publication and plagiarism. We are looking forward for your next session, sir. So we will resume at 1:30. Thank you all participants and thank you all participants for your cooperations. Thank you, sir. We will meet at
Thank you.
1:30.
Okay.